All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our May 13th webinar, our last webinar for this school year's webinar series. This is part two of the two-part series, How to Be an Award-Winning School for Student Health. As you're joining us, like Carrie has shared in the chat, please introduce yourself, your name, organization, your role. If you're coming from a school district, we'd love to hear what school district you're visiting from. If you are coming from a school district, we know that you are one, excited that the end is in sight, it's the end of the school year. And two, we understand how busy you are, and we really appreciate you taking a little bit of time this morning to join us. Again, if you are just jumping in, welcome. This is part two of our two-part series, How to Be an Award-Winning School for Student Health. And before we get started, like Carrie has shared in the chat, we would just love for you to introduce yourself, your organization or school district, your role, where you're coming from today. As folks continue to join, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Bree, if you'll go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So my name is Erica Ayers. I am the school wellness consultant with the Nutrition, Physical Activity, and Obesity Prevention section at the Department of Public Health. And I also serve as the executive director for the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness. I'm joined today by my colleague, Brianna Milling, the Department of Public Health South Carolina Fitnessgram Coordinator. She's in the background controlling today's slides for us. Thank you, Brianna. I'm also joined by Carrie Hollyfield, who's also on our planning committee, and she's going to help me monitor the chat and the Q&A. Thank you, Carrie. If this is your first time joining us, Bree, if you'll go to the next slide, please. This webinar series comes from a collaboration between the Holspire Schools Network and the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness. The mission of the Schools Network is to identify and promote healthy eating and active living strategies in South Carolina public schools that empower key stakeholders and encourage collaboration among those seeking to improve student health and academic achievement. The mission of the Governor's Council is to serve the state by providing and promoting the health and well-being of South Carolinians through the advancement of physical activity. Due to the similarities between the missions of these two groups, they started working together in 2020. And this webinar series has been a product of that collaboration, which we have been providing since the spring of 2022. So the end of this school year's webinar series marks 4 years of offering it to you. And if you've been with us the entire time, we really appreciate you. And if you brought friends to you this webinar, we really appreciate that. If you are new here, the purpose in our webinar series is to enhance the collaboration between schools and communities using the whole school, whole community, whole child model as a framework. Next slide, please, Bree. For today's webinar, we're looking at several components of that WISC model, including but not limited to physical education and physical activity, as well as community involvement, family engagement, employee wellness, physical environment, and more. Next slide. So to introduce our panelists for today, we have Coach Trevor Macy, who is the physical education instructor at R.B. Stall High School in Charleston County School District. And we also have Coach Freddie Cohen, the physical education teacher at Berry Shoals Elementary School in Spartanburg School District. Next slide. So Coach Trevor Macy will be presenting first, and before he gets started, I am going to share his bio. Trevor Macy holds a bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science from Oregon State University and a master's of arts in education from Southern Oregon University. Trevor began his career in Oregon at North Valley High School, where he served as head strength and conditioning coach and department chair. In 2021, Trevor and his family relocated to the Charleston area where he taught physical education and health at Palmetto Scholars Academy before joining R.B. Stall High School, where he currently teaches. In 2023, he became the department chair of physical education and health and has since led a comprehensive redesign of the curriculum, including the integration of lifetime sports, development of student workbooks, implementation of mastery-based grading and rubrics, and established a consistent uniform policy among many of the other positive and impactful changes. In 2025, Trevor expanded his leadership as chair of the school's wellness committee, extending their impact across the school community. That same year, their program was recognized with the first ever Palmy Award for the Low Country region, highlighting their commitment to fostering a school culture that prioritizes health and wellness. So, Coach Trevor, we are so thrilled to welcome you to our webinar series and to offer this platform to share y'all's successes and work in achieving the PAMI as well as the other positive impacts you've had in your school. So thank you, Trevor.
Thank you so much, Miss Ayers. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, and hopefully I can share some insight into what we do here and provide some information that y'all can apply in your own programs. Like Ms. Ayers said, I'm the department chair at R.B. Stall High School here in Charleston County School District. I'm also the chair for the Wellness Committee. I joined that this year, and we kind of restarted that. We had a couple of years where we didn't really have much of a wellness committee, so I wanted to come in and be able to further my impact and have a larger impact in terms of the overall school community and then our community as a whole. So I did join that as well so that I can continue to provide health and wellness resources and information and impact to our community as a whole. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. My staff here in the PE department is on the left side. I've got an amazing group, and my principal, Mr. Larson, is in there as well. An amazing group of physical educators here in my department, and our success wouldn't be possible without them. They have been more than willing to step in and go on this ride with me as I became the department chair and went on this journey to really create a model program within Charleston County School District for physical education. And just it's amazing to have a group of educators around me that share my growth mindset and allow me to make a positive impact in our department and the school as a whole. Also, my wife, Stephanie, over there on the right, she is, the reason why I do everything I do, and she's been an amazing support for me. And we also have a 5-year-old son, Miles, who also is my driving force in what I do in my career. So without these people around me, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be able to make the positive impact I've been able to make. So wanted to give a shout out to the important people here. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So as Ms. Sarah said, we were the recipient of the Palmy Award for the Low Country region. As y'all know, it just recognizes schools that do a good job at physical education and then overall school wellness culture. Some of the core tenets of my philosophy and our department's philosophy is, on my side, leadership. I am most definitely a lead from the front kind of a leader. I put myself into positions where I can make positive impacts and always seek out opportunities for growth and collaboration with other professionals in my district and elsewhere so that I can continue to improve our department year in and year out and improve my own teaching year in and year out. And then making a positive impact in every aspect of what we do, whether it's in the classroom, in the school, in the community. And so those are the things that really drive this department here. Go ahead and go next. So for our physical education department, we are most definitely a standards-based physical education department. We use both the South Carolina standards and the Shape America standards. Our focus for our fitness aspect of our classes is the health-based fitness, especially in our PE1 and PE2 classes. And then once we get into the PE3 and beyond, our strength and conditioning classes, then obviously we do a combination of both the health-based as well as the skill-based aspects of fitness. But for our students coming in as freshmen, when they do PE1, we really really focus on cardiovascular fitness, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and body composition, which are all tied to the assessments that we do 3 times per semester for each of our PE1, PE2 classes in order to assess growth and hopefully progress towards achieving those milestones of being in that healthy fitness zone. In addition to that, we also have 6 units of lifetime sports and activities. We chose these units as a department because they have a low barrier to entry. We have resources and places for our students to go within our community to access these activities and these sports that we do. And again, low cost of entry. You know, generally the cost associated with equipment and facilities and things like that are very low. And so that's something that's very important to us, is making sure that we're teaching our students sports and activities so that they can be active after they are outside of school once they graduate, and hopefully continue to take care of their health. Our focus is most definitely student centered. Every year we assess what our students' interests are, what is available to them, and lesson by lesson we really try and figure out how to make sure that all of our students are engaged. As we'll talk about a little bit later, we have a very high ML population here at Stall. It's believe over 60% of our students are English as a second language, and so being inclusive and making sure that we can impact those students as well as the other students in this school is extremely important to our success. And then we're always trying to make sure that what we teach and how we teach it leads to real world application of the skills, and an understanding of why we're teaching them those skills and how they can implement them to maintain their health throughout their lives. Next. Currently, what we do is for our units, we have a badminton unit, a pickleball unit. This next year, we've decided as a department to actually combine those 2 units and start badminton and then end up moving into pickleball throughout the course of that unit so that we can make room for a backyard/beach games unit next year, which will include can jam, bocce ball, spike ball, ladder ball, and cornhole. Again, trying to find things that are low cost and readily available, and provide more opportunities for our students to have that social aspect of wellness and exercise, and be able to take those to the beach or do it family gatherings in their backyard and teach them more skills and activities that they can do to be active. In addition to that, we do a soccer unit, a basketball unit. Those are the 2 most popular units, most well-liked units within our school population, as I would imagine many schools that's the case. We also do volleyball, and we have a combined unit of frisbee games, which is disc golf and then ultimate frisbee. Once again, low cost of entry, community accessible. There's facilities, community spaces for students and their family members to go and access these activities. Next. For our instructional approach, we really try and focus on game-based learning. We obviously do incorporate lessons, especially at the beginning of the units, where we focus on specific skills and developing those skills, but we try to move away from just drill-based lessons. And we will start with some drills and things like that to focus on those specific skills, but then quickly move into an activity, a modified game where they can implement those skills but have fun doing it instead of just standing behind cones and doing specific drills for dribbling or whatever it may be. And so we've really changed the way that we teach to make sure that we're trying to increase that student engagement, so that they can learn those skills and learn those activities and actually have a good time doing it, so that hopefully they want to continue doing it. We moved as a department and as a school to a mastery-based grading scale. And so we have created equitable grading rubrics, and these rubrics focus on individual skill progression and then most definitely improvement over time. We don't expect all of our students in our PE1 and PE2 classes to be masters at the sports that we are teaching them and the activities that we're teaching them, but we are looking for them to gain a firm understanding of the rules of gameplay and definitely improve their skills so that they can be at least proficient enough to take those sports and apply them in their own lives after they're not in PE class. Once again, we have a large ML population. Over 60% of our students are coming in with English as a second language at varying levels of proficiency. So making sure that we have a culturally responsive teaching and learning environment is paramount to our success. And then student choice and engagement. Once again, that's huge. We also have differentiation between activities for different skills or different interests for the students. Competition level. So if you have, athletes that want to be more competitive, then we separate those students from the students that are not necessarily wanting to get into that high level of competitiveness in their games and their unit progressions. And so we allow for all of our students to be able to have that opportunity to thrive. Yeah, moving on. Again, assessment is we use our mastery-based grading tied to our rubrics, and we value growth over just overall performance. We want our students to improve their performance and improve their knowledge of the games and skills, but really what we value more than anything and what we assess our students on is their growth from the very beginning of the unit or the semester, whether it be FitnessGram testing or a volleyball unit or a pickleball unit. We're looking for them to consistently improve and apply what they've learned in order to be better at that sport and that activity. We also allow multiple reassessment opportunities when we get into our skill-based assessments at the end of the semester or the end of the units at the quarter of the semester. We provide many different reassessment opportunities and different variations of assessment, whether it's full gameplay, modified gameplay, specific skills, and we allow those students as many opportunities as we are allowed based on the time that we have in order to show us the improvement that they have accomplished throughout the course of the class and the course of those units. As stated before, we do FitnessGram 3 times. We do it pre-testing at the very beginning. Usually this happens during week 2 of our classes, and we get those results, and then we have our students analyze those and hopefully create some, help them create some SMART goals so that they can have a point to where they can improve and look for that consistent improvement by the end of the semester. When we get to the midterm point, we do those same tests again. We allow our students to look at their goals, see if they've accomplished the goals that they set out to accomplish at the beginning, or if they need to modify things. Again, if they accomplished it, then we need to set a new goal, something that's going to be attainable by the end of the class. Or if we see that there is not as much improvement as they had hoped, then we can modify that so that we can change and make it attainable by the end. And then, of course, post-testing, we just finished up our FitnessGram post-testing yesterday. And then the students will be allowed to go in and again, assess their goals and see how they did and provide reflections on their performance and their progress throughout the course of the class. And then we also implement student workbooks, which there'll be a separate slide in here that kind of shows what is all included, but it's a 144-page workbook that I created that includes information on all of our units, our FitnessGram, health-based fitness, all sorts of stuff in terms of exercise and things that the students can apply, SMART goals and whatnot. And so that's we use those pretty much weekly, and that allows the students to really take more ownership of their progress in their class and each unit. These are just some examples. I know it's somewhat hard to read, but I wanted to provide some examples of some of the things that we created, whether it's the mile run mastery rubric on the left side, where we have a 4-point scale based on what they're demonstrating. And then again, the focus is improvement over time. When we get to the end of the quarter, I take the mile times that my students ran, and then I work with each individual student, and we come up with a specific mile time, a mile goal that we should be able to run with a little bit of extra time built in case they have a bad day, So it really is individualized, and we try and tie it as much as we possibly can to the improvement over time and individual abilities of each of our students. We have, mastery rubrics for our lifetime sports, our fitness, participation, and engagement. And there is a mandatory participation because in PE, you can't learn or be assessed if you choose to sit out. And so there is a component of our grade that is, very much so based on being there, dressing out into appropriate PE clothing, and then participating to the best of your abilities for that particular day. And there's some more notes and things like that. So if y'all want to review these slides after, feel free, but we can go ahead and move on. Once again, accessibility for all skill levels. We tie it to those mastery rubrics, continuous assessment, reassessment opportunities. Feedback is consistently provided every single lesson on an individual and a class basis, so that we can ensure that all of our students are getting the opportunity to understand where they can improve, how they can improve, and then hopefully see that improvement throughout the course of the class. We have tons of multilingual supports. I always say that it's a little bit easier in PE because it obviously is an activity based in a demonstration based class. And so it's a little bit easier in order to support those with models and visuals and modeling visuals and things like that. But also we translate documents and assessments and anything that we need to, and as much as we need, to ensure that all of our students, regardless of the language that they speak and the proficiency of English that they have, that they can access the materials and learn with us as they develop their English language as well. Like I said, visual instruction strategies, whether it's teacher demonstration, it's student demonstration, it's drawing things out on a whiteboard or referring to posters that we have posted around the gym, things like that. And then, of course, modified gameplay. Like I said before, to just make sure that we're not excluding certain groups of students based on things like the level of competition, or the level of skill that they have and things like that. So we do a lot of modification to make sure that we are being conscious and being inclusive within our classrooms. Next. Kind of more of the same thing, in addition to the translated materials, we really focus on intentional student grouping for certain aspects of our classes. One thing that has been really successful for us is because we do have so many English as a second language students, we have many different levels of proficiency of English language. So if we can group students that have a high level of English language proficiency, we can group them with students that have a low level of English language proficiency, then we can help those particular groups of students be successful with their peers, and they can help to translate and demonstrate and things like that. So that's a big success that we have noticed over the last few years. And then, of course, like I stated before, trying to choose activities that are connected to the backgrounds of our students and the interest of their students. One of the most important things, and really this has been the core tenet of my entire educational career, is relationships. We focus hard on developing real, meaningful relationships with each one of our students, so that we can have that buy-in and we can help them to understand that we are there to help them. We are there to make sure that they can be successful, and the importance of their health throughout their life and their fitness throughout their life. And that doesn't just happen, accidentally. That is very intentional from myself and each one of my teachers in this department. And we generally have very, very positive relationships with the vast majority of our students. And we tend to have more success with some of our students that may have trouble in the classroom setting. And we seem to reach them very well with the relationship driven focus that we have in our department. One thing that we have implemented over the last couple of years, and we're always looking for more ways to improve or add to this, is recognizing students when they're doing well, because our students do great things all the time. And I think that just like everybody, it can kind of go unnoticed. But if we've really made an intentional focus within our department to find ways to recognize our students that are really doing an exemplary job. We started a Warrior of the Month program where we recognize 1 to 2 students from each of our classes every single month. And, things like, being there, dressing out, participating every single time, and all those things. It has nothing to do with overall athletic ability or anything like that. It is all about, doing the things that you need to do in our classes to be successful. And so we try and really target students throughout the year and throughout each class, and recognize them in front of the class to make sure that their efforts don't go unnoticed. And that comes with, like a free mile pass, snack pack, and award certificate and things like that. So we're looking at potentially changing how that works, but we will always continue that recognition. We also have fitness testing leaderboard for our students that are interested in really pushing themselves and are more competitive in that regard. Then we can recognize their efforts in front of the school on a large whiteboard or cork board that we have set up as our leaderboard out there, along with other things, which you'll see on the next slide about, access to community resources, where they are at and what's available there and things like that. And then we also started something new this year, which is sending personalized positive postcards home. We try and send a couple of those home for students in our classes, and just directly mail those to our parents and those students. And that has received a lot of positive feedback, because I think it's also important for us to recognize to the parents that their students are doing a great job in our classes, because a lot of the times that kind of goes unsaid. And I think that it's important for us to build those relationships with our parents as well as our students. These are some examples of what I was speaking about. So there in the middle towards the bottom is the Warrior Wall of Physical Excellence, is what we called it. There in the middle, we've got our Warrior of the Months. We've got top mile times, FitnessGram leaderboard, strength and conditioning records. And then on the left and the right, on the bottom, on the right, there's a map that has highlighted all of the resources for students to go for physical activity in our area, whether it's we didn't really focus on like commercial gyms, but like Parks and Rec is a big focus, community centers and things like that, where they can access what we're trying to teach them, and it's all readily accessible for them right there. We're fortunate to have an amazing Parks and Rec department in Charleston County, so it's just really highlighting that those things are available and making students aware that they are available, and they're most of the time free for them to use. And so pointing that out and making kids aware of that, I think, is a huge step. And on the left side is just a list of all of those community centers and parks and rec and everything. And it kind of explains what is available for each of those in those areas. In terms of myself, my program leadership, as Ms. Ayers stated at the beginning, I did an overall department structure and curriculum redesign that started last year. I was semi-department chair 2 years ago, but I actually took that role for the school last year, and we made vast improvements in terms of how we structure our day-to-day and semester-to-semester classes, and then the curriculum that we teach. Every single year, every semester, we are always seeking out opportunities to develop our curriculum and collaborate with other physical education professionals. We do learning walks to other schools within our district every single year, so that we can just visit and observe other PE programs and see what we can take from them and have those conversations with other professionals in the field, because we truly feel that if we are to continue to be successful, then we need to actively seek out those opportunities and collaborate with the other amazing professionals that work in this school district and in the state. Obviously, we're focused on data-driven improvement, whether it's pre-test, post-testing for our knowledge of our sports units, it's FitnessGram data, all of those things. We closely tie all of our lessons and the way that we structure our environment with that data for those classes and for our department as a whole. Mastery-based grading, as I said, and then so that's something new that we implemented in this department and as a school this year, and then working together as a team to make sure that we're all having input and a voice to make sure that we can consistently move forward together. Outside of the school, I have had the opportunity to take on multiple different things. And I'm always trying to seek out other opportunities as to how I can have a bigger impact. But for the last 3 years, I've been a PE curriculum development leader working with our district health and wellness coordinator, Holly Cutt, who's amazing and has been an incredible resource that has allowed us to improve as much as we have. So I've worked closely with her to develop, district-wide PE curriculum and resources that I've shared throughout the district. Presented for professional development 2024 and 2025 at the district level here in Charleston County. I submitted a proposal to hopefully do some professional development at the SCAPES presentation, or the SCAPES, I don't even know. Yeah. Seminar, whatever, coming up in this next November, I believe. So I'm hoping I get the opportunity to teach more professionals during that. I created that 144-page PE workbook as a resource, and I made that available to everybody within the district. And then I also applied for this new position that we have throughout our district where it's called a learning leader position. And that if I'm selected, then I'd be able to go allow other schools to come and visit me, which is something that we already do and visit our department, and then also have the opportunity to facilitate more professional development and actively go to different schools and provide them with feedback and resources to hopefully help them improve their own programs. Conference, that was the word I was looking for. That's embarrassing. Here is, obviously I can't include the entire workbook here, but the table of contents lets you know what is all in there. It's a lot, but it is something that we use consistently, and it's something that has created a lot of success within our department in allowing students to access information and also to engage with it in terms of goal setting, reflections, and all of those things as they make their way through our lessons and through our units. In addition to classroom, I, like stated before, I'm the head of the wellness committee. This year is kind of the first year that we've really restarted the wellness committee. So some of the major accomplishments was we had 19 community-based partners in wellness industries from the area that came out, and we set up a wellness fair for our students and staff to just be exposed to some of those partners in our community. We have student versus staff events for overall wellness culture, and then just school climate and culture. We started our first annual volleyball student versus staff game, and we also have a basketball student versus staff game that has been going on for a few years. We won the volleyball game this year, but unfortunately they won the basketball game, so it's 1-for-1 this year. But in addition to that, we, all sorts of staff wellness initiatives, bi-monthly staff massage events, in addition to, more events like that our staff really values during Teacher Appreciation Week. We had a year-long staff walking challenge to allow, our staff to just be more aware and hopefully have a little bit of competitive drive to keep up on something as simple as walking, which we all know is extremely important to overall health. Wellness professionals come in different times throughout the year and have pop-ups so that we can expose our staff and students to different information and resources within our community. And then overall community engagement, school engagement, we have different events, and then a community newsletter that we started up this year that I created and sent out multiple times throughout the year to just highlight different aspects of wellness that I wanted to highlight throughout the year. There's an example of what the wellness newsletter looks like. So it's just a one document. We generally send it out digitally. And I have a version that I created for staff, for students, and for the community as well. So there's 3 different versions that have the same topics, but are put together in a different way to reach out to those specific populations to make sure that it's something that is applicable to those populations. And then that's an example of the walking challenge. I created a Google map of the Appalachian Trail, and each every twice a month I had staff submit their overall walking miles, which is literally every step that you take when you're waking, tracked on like an Apple Watch or a fitness tracker, submitting those miles and seeing how far you can progress throughout the year on the Appalachian Trail is a little bit more of an incentive and a visual to kind of see how much progress you've made. And I think I'd have to run the numbers, but I think as a staff, we put together almost 14,000 miles together with everything that was submitted. And I think our lead staff was like 1,600 miles that, and, just knocked it out of the park. So we're going to continue doing things like that next year because this was extremely successful and I think motivating for a lot of our staff to just do something like, walk a little bit more. And that's my email address, my school email address. Obviously, if you have any questions, anything like that, feel free to ask now if we have time. And if nothing, if you want to reach out to me at any point, please feel free to take that email address down and reach out to me with any questions you may have. I'd be happy to collaborate with you. And I also do have a Teachers Pay Teachers account that I started this year. So if you're looking for resources and things like that, I will continue adding to that. But there are, my workbook and other aspects of my resources are on there as well. So feel free to check that out and take anything you'd like.
Thank you, Coach Trevor.
Really.
If y'all do have any questions, I haven't seen any in the chat while you were speaking, but if folks do have any, they can add them to the chat now. And if you don't respond to them now, we can do it at the end of today's webinar, or we can do it offline and send it to everyone in a follow-up email. And just for the folks watching, just a reminder that when the recording for this webinar goes out, we'll also be sharing any resources shared during the meeting. So Coach Trevor, your email address and your Teachers Pay Teachers information here, we can include that in the follow-up email as well for people to see. I do have a comment, something, and it was on your last slide. I really appreciate, and this is as one of the PAMI committee members, I know this is what rose y'all to the top in regards to becoming the PAMI winners for the Low Country region, was your whole stance on wellness beyond the classroom. That's what your whole presentation has been about, which I really appreciate. You guys are really building the foundation in your physical education classroom, giving them those core skills they need to be able to successfully practice those physical activities for a lifetime, which I really appreciate. But you're doing more than that. It's more than just seeing improvements in their fitness. Like you said, it's about growth over performance. It's really, you're doing health-based work, not performance-based work. And you're giving them tools and resources to take that home and be physically active with their families and finding places in their communities where they can go. And I really appreciate you and your team for your work and effort in that and making that a priority with your school culture, but also the culture in Charleston County School District. So thank you, Coach Trevor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So again, Coach Trevor is going to hang out with us until the end of the day's webinar. So if you do have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. But now we get to introduce our second panelist for this morning, Coach Cohen. So Bree, if you'll take us to the next slide. And Coach Cohen, if you will join us on camera while I read your bio before I hand it over to you. So Freddie Cohen holds a bachelor's degree in physical education and a master's in instructional technology. Freddie has over 27 years of experience teaching physical education in 4K through 8th grades. He is currently the physical education teacher at Barry Schultz Elementary School and the golf coach at James F. Burns High School in Spartanburg School District 5. He has been married for 26 years, has 2 boys, 18 and 22, and is a NASCAR fan. Praise Dale. With that, Coach Cohen, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Listen, my goal today here is hopefully to give you some encouragement. I landed in this webinar, I think, based off of some success that we've had in School District 5, along with the Alliance for Healthier Generation and America's Healthiest Schools initiative. I was introduced to that several years ago by Seth Shelby, and I agreed to begin that process with him here in District 5, even before our district really knew anything about it. He and I began to work on it here at my school. And so I'm hoping that today I can just share some ways that you can tackle the Alliance for Healthier Generation and America's Healthiest Schools. And so, one of the biggest things that I found when I began to do research into what it would take to be one of America's healthiest schools was that, fortunately, in my school district, we already had a district wellness policy in place. And our district wellness policy was very robust. And I found out after going through talking to a few folks that they spent a lot of time, our district nurse and one of our high school physical education teachers sat down and spent a lot of time looking at state expectations and things that need to be included with health, with nutrition. And they created this district wellness policy that was already in place and was right there kind of propping up what I was trying to do at my school. And so I'm not sure where you may be in the America's Healthiest School venture, or if you've even looked into that to see where your school falls or your district falls. But the Alliance for a Healthier Generation and Diabetes Free South Carolina has a great partnership here in South Carolina so that you can begin to look at your school wellness and kind of see where you can begin to focus and work and become a healthier school. So go to the next slide, please. Our district recognizes that the importance of school wellness. It recognizes that not only student wellness but staff wellness is so important in just having a great school district, whether it's attendance or whether it's the correlation between being healthy and academics. Our district recognize that. And so as they begin to create this wellness policy, a lot of that work, I didn't have to convince anybody about those things, which was great. Go to the next slide, please. So our mission is we promote healthy environments so that young people can achieve lifelong good health, right? And we envision a school district where every mind and body is healthy and ready to succeed. So if you go to the next slide, I'll kind of go back to the initial story that I told you. I partnered with Seth Shelby back in 2023, and he just came to me and said, "Hey, I love what you're doing at your school. Would you be interested in looking at America's Healthiest Schools, at the possibility of turning in that application and seeing if you could become one of America's Healthiest Schools?" And so I agreed. And that's what started me down this road of finding all this great information out about my school district. And as I began to do the research and look at my school and go through the process of seeing where my school was, the things that we were doing, the things that were already in place at my school through nutrition in our lunchroom and breakfast, through our health department and our school nurse, through our guidance department and our mental health areas, and the things that we already had in place. I was surprised to know that there was so much going on at my school. I mean, I knew the things that we were doing, but I didn't realize how well they fit into the America's Healthiest Schools framework. And so I say that to hopefully encourage you, if you haven't begun to look into America's Healthiest Schools, I hope to encourage you, because a lot of the things that they're looking for, you're already doing in your schools. That's what I found. And all I had to do was begin to put together the things that we were doing and see, how we were meeting these goals and collecting this evidence to show all the great things that were going on in our school. And so I did that in 2023, and I met with my team. I'll talk a little bit more about my team in a few minutes, but I met with my team, and in 2023, we were able to sit down, go through the school assessment, look at the America's Healthiest Schools application, and put together, where we were doing what, and find that evidence to support those things. And so I was fortunate enough to win the America's Healthiest School Award in 2023. Now, I mentioned this to some district folks in 2023, and they were excited for me. It was a great honor. And the next year in 2024, I grabbed a couple of my colleagues from a couple of the other schools and asked them to join me. And Seth asked as well that they join us in this America's Healthiest Schools initiative. And so they did. And so I'm at Barry Shoals Elementary School. So our school in 2024 won. Florence Chapel Middle, which happens to be next door to me, they jumped on board and they were able to become one of America's Healthiest Schools. And then James F. Burns High School, they also joined and became one of America's Healthiest Schools. Now, here's where I think the intrigue as to our success came from. The following year, which was last year, 2025, we went from one school in 2023 to 12 schools in 2025. And so I sat down with Seth again after that year because, and now Robin Cooper, who is doing that, is in that position now. And both of those folks are just such a big help and such a great resource when it comes to the Alliance for a Healthier Generation and America's Healthiest Schools. And Seth just asked me then, he said, what did you do? How did you get from 1 to 3 to 12? Let's go back and look at that because I think that would be some great information to share. And so I did. And so I went back and I looked and I said, okay, how did I get from 1 to 3 to 12? Well, it wasn't me. It wasn't me at all. I just kind of spearheaded the campaign. And so, I just want to share a little bit about for anyone in those positions in your school district. Maybe you're the lead PE teacher in your district. Maybe you're the head nurse or the lead nurse in your district, or anything, guidance counselor, nutritionist. But anyone at the school or district level, I'm just a PE teacher in elementary school, and I was able to gather my colleagues, my other PE teachers, and begin this process toward over 95% America's Healthiest School Awards in our district. And so it starts out, you can go to the next slide. It started out for me with my school wellness team. So your school wellness committee is the key to building level buy-in, support, and success. So in that picture, that's me, my school nurse, my school guidance counselor, and my school nutritionist. And so they're the core of my team. They're not my entire team, but they're the ones that I sit down with because they are the ones that can sit down with the school health assessment and the school application for the America's Healthiest Schools, and can help me answer the questions, show what we're doing, help me gather the evidence to complete that application. And so that's my core. That's my rock star team right there. My team also includes an administrator. It also includes a parent, a student, a community member, and those things. And so from the school level, you really just want to solidify your school wellness team. And I shared this with my colleagues at my other schools, and just took them through this process of build your team, assess your school, and then look at the application once you've assessed your school. And what you will find is you're meeting a lot of these areas. You're meeting what you need to meet to be one of America's Healthiest Schools. All you have to do is write it up and provide your evidence before you turn your application in. So if you go to the next slide. So just a couple of other keys to success that we found as we sat down is we had a clear and complete district wellness policy. I mentioned that at the beginning, that my district was ahead of me even once I began to do my research. And I would suspect most of your school districts have a district wellness policy. And so you can begin there. That can be your foundation for building your healthy school at your school. And so the next thing is supportive administration. And so I've always had supportive administration. I think that when you pitch that everything that you're doing is for the betterment of not only your students, but your staff, their physical, emotional, social health, you're not going to find many administrators that are going to be against that. And so I've always had plenty of support both at the school level and at the district level. I've already mentioned my school wellness team. And then completing your school wellness assessment. When you do that at the Americans for Healthy Schools, the Alliance for a Healthier Generation website, when you go in and complete your school wellness assessment, it will begin to show you where you are meeting certain aspects of your healthy schools, where you may need some improvement, maybe some things that you haven't even thought about or begun yet. And so as you go through your school assessment, you begin to kind of see where you are, and it allows you to set goals for the year. And so you can pick one or two, goals, things that you like, maybe we need to implement this, or maybe we need to add this. And that can be your goal for the year. And you can spend your year just trying to create that new thing in your school, whatever that may be, in whatever area it may be in. It may be in, student physical health. It may be in staff health. It could be in nutrition or in the medical area or guidance. And so you create that assessment, you create those goals, those improvement goals, as you see there on the list. And then you begin to document and record what you're doing. Because that documentation, that recording, the things that you're doing, making sure that when you send out the staff bowling night or the staff trail hike that you invite people to on the weekends, right? Save that email, save that flyer that you put in everybody's box, because that's going to be important when you begin to fill out your America's Healthiest Schools application. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. And so, in our district, PE does lead the way. We are each PE teacher at the schools. We're the ones that are spearheading this campaign in our school district. It doesn't have to be that way in every district. Like I said, here it just started with one. And that happened to be me. And I grabbed my other PE peers and I said, hey guys, this is what we're doing. Would you be willing to jump on board? I'll help you and show you the way to get this done. This is a national award, and this is something that we're all doing. I just need to show you how to put it all together so that we can show the great things that are going on here in Spartanburg District 5. And so this is the way it happens in our district. We have a biannual staff prep, right? So we meet, I don't know how your school district works, but in our school district, we have a district-wide welcome back to school PD day in August. So it's where the entire district comes to one place. It's at the high school. And during that day, we have PD all over the high school. And so it's peer PD, teachers that give professional development on different things, and you sign up to go to different things. Well, during that time, there are a lot of department beginning of the year meetings. And so that's what we use it for. So all the PE teachers in District 5, I lead a staff prep professional development that day. And basically what we do as far as Alliance for a Healthier Generation is during that, we talk about several other things, but during the Alliance for a Healthier Generation part, I just talk about, again, what is America's Healthiest Schools, getting your team together in your school, at your school level, who that needs to include, encouraging them to get that started, calendar your meetings for the year for your wellness team, and then kind of what to do at each of those meetings as far as your school assessment, creating goals, and so on and so forth. And as you move into the spring, begin to look at the Healthy Schools application when it comes out and begin to compile the things that you're going to need to fill out that application. So once we have that first meeting, then I follow up with them for any type of assistance they may need at their school. I'm just an email away. I'm always happy to help, send ideas, and talk about things that they can, really, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times I'm just pointing out things I know they're already doing that can be a part of their application process. Right. And so we, as teachers, not just PE teachers, but just schools in general, there's so much good that goes on in schools for our students and our staff from the district level down, that this is a great opportunity to highlight. And so that's what we do. We just point it out and we gather that evidence and we highlight it from the district level down. And then, so after we share our ideas, we get together again in February. We have a February PD day, and we get together in February and we actually sit down in a room, all the PE teachers together, and we pull the application up on a big whiteboard, and we look at those applications. And I'm able to show each of our PE teachers who are in charge of helping fill out these applications. I'm able to say, when they ask a question about a certain area, I'm able to say, well, actually, that's covered at the district level. We know we're doing that because it's that's in the district policy. Now just go back and figure out, okay, how is your school meeting this district level policy? And that's where you're going to get your evidence from. And so I'm able to help them in that PD session begin to fill out their application and kind of get them headed in the right direction in February, so that they can have those applications filled out in plenty of time that those applications are due. And so after 2025, we had, like I said, we had 12 schools win the award, and we were able to celebrate those wins, not only at the school level. Each school obviously had a banner that was taken to them and celebrated with each individual P wellness committee. And then at the district level, we were actually hosted at one of our board meetings, and we were able to just share a little bit about what we did as a district-wide PE department with America's Healthiest Schools, and we were celebrated at the district level as well. If you go to the next slide. I just want to end by just reminding everyone kind of what I said just a minute ago. One of the things that I find, not only as I go to Scaford every year and listen to my peers talk about all the great things that's going on in their classroom, you just heard Coach Trevor talk at length about his wonderful PE program and all the great things that are going on at his school. What I've found over my 27 plus years of teaching physical education is that's happening in more places than it's not happening. And so I know those of you, Erica and Brianna, and some of you guys that get to travel the state, get to go into different settings and see what different people are doing in different places. You already know that. And so, but I just want to also echo that message. There's so much that's going on that's great for health and wellness in the state of South Carolina at the school level. It's just, I'm thankful for this opportunity to point it out, to show it off a little bit. I'm thankful to Holspire and the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness to even have these webinars and have this opportunity to showcase some of the things that are going on. This last slide here for me is just some school and district activities that go on in our district. The fun run on the left there. I'm sure plenty of you have fun runs at your school, especially you elementary schools. That's just something extra that we put on each year. We have fun runs. We actually do fun run once a month in our PE classes, and those laps in our gym add up to miles, which add up to distances on a map as well, which the kids enjoy. And the other two pictures there, the middle one is a pickleball session, a PD session that we actually hosted in our August PD, that first day back. It was actually set up it was an activity session for PE teachers, but that was not put in the description. And so we were so excited, as you can see the picture on the right, we were so excited that just normal teachers and staff in our schools, they signed up for the pickleball session. I know part of that was because of the, pickleball's kind of made a resurgence. To tell you the truth, I remember playing pickleball in PE back in the 80s, but it's definitely made a resurgence over the last few years. And so we just had a lot of teachers. And when I asked them, I talked to a lot of them that were coming in, and I just said, hey, what made you guys sign up for our pickleball session that was, for PE teachers? And they said, they just wanted a break. It's a long day. We do PD all day after our morning welcome back session. And they just said they just wanted that activity break. And so it was great to have. We definitely had way more people than we had planned for, but we adjusted to that, and we created some great some great pickleball there that day in that session. But just like other districts, we have staff outings. We have even at the district level. Our district supports us. We get gym memberships, and we have free counseling and any type of help for our staff. Anything our staff needs, we have people that we can contact and places we can go. Our students have so many as far as hearing and glasses, eyesight, and dental. These are things that you see in all school districts. And so, what I love about America's Healthiest Schools is it just gives school districts the opportunity to highlight the great things going on in each district. So, I just hope that this time that I've been able to share today maybe just gave you some encouragement, maybe gave you some ideas. And if you haven't been a part of Alliance for a Healthier Generation or America's Healthiest Schools, maybe this will just give you the incentive to go out and begin that process. I hope you do. Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you, Coach Cohen. Couple of comments, couple of quotes I wrote down while you were speaking. One, this has to be the understatement of the year. I'm just a PE teacher in elementary school. I wrote that down because I was like, how dare you say that, sir? I think you are probably one of the most important staff. I think you're all important, but I think you bring such value to your students and staff, and you know it. So I had to write that down and throw that one back in your face. And then another one I wrote down, which I thought was really good, was so much good is going on for our students and staff. And that is so true. And I appreciate that you said that not only for your school, your district, but also statewide. I think we sort of get very narrow focused in our classrooms or in the work that we do, and we don't lift our heads up and see all the good that's around us, that's impacting us, and all the positive impact we ourselves are having. So I appreciate you saying that and mentioning that. And like you said, we do hope with this webinar series and the other work that we're doing through Scaford, through PAMI, to recognize that good that's already happening and to give those folks a platform to share that, to brag on themselves, and to encourage and motivate others. So, Coach Cohen, I just want to thank you, and Coach Trevor, you too, again, for everything that y'all do. I greatly appreciate y'all being the passionate physical education teachers and leaders that you are, not only for your schools, but your district, but also the state as well. With that, I'm going to stop rambling, but if there's any questions for either Coach Trevor or Coach Cohen, you can put those in the chat now. If you don't have any questions now, but you do want to maybe follow up with them individually at a later time, to get some more information about what they share, feel free to do that. If it's okay with y'all, we'll include your contact information in the follow-up that goes out with the recording in case people do want to, or if you want to put it in the chat now, that would be great. Thank you. So to wrap us up, Bree, if you will go to the next slide, please. Like I was just saying, your success story is our favorite to tell. Bree put together this flyer for the PAMI committee, which we greatly appreciate. You heard us talk about PAMI. If PAMI is new for you, it's the Physical Adeptness and Literacy Model Institution. This is an awards committee that comes from Scaford, the South Carolina Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, another name you heard several times this morning. Freddie, if you have not already done so, I hope that you plan on submitting a PAMI application. I have to tell you, folks who have already gone through the Healthier Generation, Healthy Schools Award application, this one is not that much different. You could probably just copy and paste onto our PAMI, and this is to complement the national award you receive. This would be a state level award to receive.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, absolutely. And if other folks are interested, this is our flyer. You can see the QR code listed here. This will also go out with our follow-up email for today's webinar. There is no deadline. It is a rolling application, but we do pause from receiving the applications in late summer, early fall, so that we can review all the ones that we have received for that school year. And at the November Scaford Conference, we announce who the regional and overall state PAMI award winners are. So I definitely encourage, you don't have to be a physical education teacher. You can be anyone in your school who completes this application. It is a school level awards application. So I hope you guys take advantage of that. Bree, next slide, please. I also, wrapping up our webinar and wrapping up our webinar series for the school year, want to thank my Connecting Communities and Schools webinar planning family. You see them listed here. We have Dr. Bowens at Department of Education. We have Carrie Hollyfield with MUSC Boeing Center for Children's Wellness, Meg Stanley with Holspire, and Brianna Milling along with me at the Department of Public Health. Several of these folks will be joining me again this summer to start planning next school year's webinar series, so be on the lookout in late summer, early fall. It's going to look a little bit different. We're moving from Holspire Zoom platform to the Department of Public Health's Teams webinar platform. So it's going to be a little bit different, but the same quality of content will be delivered to y'all. And with that, next slide, I just want to thank all of the webinar presenters we had this past school year from the fall to the spring. We had, hold on, I wrote the numbers down. I think they're on the next slide. We have provided 8 webinar sessions this series, which has included 21 content experts, and we have reached 385 live participants, not counting all the folks who go back and watch our recordings, which you can find on Holspire's YouTube page. So just want to thank everyone who has been a participant this school year, everyone who has presented this school year, and everyone who has provided technical support. This is the QR code to access all of this past year's recordings. So in case you missed one or want to share one with your colleagues, you can access them there. Also, be on the lookout. The follow-up email will have a survey for today's webinar. I will not be able to drop it in the chat today, but it will be in the follow-up email that goes out in the next week. So be on the lookout for that so that you can receive your certificate. And if you are CHES or MCHES, I will be sending that roster out in the next week for you to complete for all the webinars you saw this spring series. So with that, one more thing, if you'll show it in the chat and through the reactions for our speakers, Coach Cohen and Coach Trevor today, really appreciate them taking the time to not only prepare, but also to present. And thank all of you for coming. We always appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, and we will see you next school year. Thanks, everybody. Bye.